Streaming now, this is ArtPrize, live from the WOOD TV Live Desk.
ArtPrize 2021, it's wrapping up here this week, folks, happening tomorrow on WOOD TV. We have our awards special at 7 o'clock. That'll be streaming as well as on your WOOD TV programming. Joining me today, though, is Grand Rapids City Manager Mark Washington. Mark, thank you for taking a second to join us. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me, Luke.
Absolutely, absolutely. Is this your first ArtPrize?
No, actually not. I was hired in 2018, and I came in October, so it was about the second week or so, or the last week of ArtPrize when I started. And 2019, I experienced Project One, which wasn't really full-blown ArtPrize, and of course, no ArtPrize in 2020. So it's not my first ArtPrize, but it's the first ArtPrize I had a chance to experience from inception to conclusion.
Nice. And how's it been?
Oh, it's been electrifying. It's been great seeing our city come alive doing ArtPrize and seeing it do so in a safe way. That a lot of the exhibits are outdoors as well as there's indoor alternatives, but people who are concerned about the pandemic can safely view some of the art outside, and it's caused a lot of activation, a lot of hotel stays and tourism, and it's helped a lot of local artists as well.
And that's been one of the biggest things this year is the amount of outdoor art that we are seeing. You know, have you had a chance to be out and about or anything? Any pieces that stuck out to you?
Oh, absolutely. And it's great that the city can collaborate and partner as part of the venues with our public spaces, either in parks or in of course on the right of way and some of the outdoor activity. But yeah, there's good to see people out and about. It's good to see the art on display. I'll talk a little bit about this later, but there's so many pieces that it's hard to pick a favorite. But I think there are so many pieces that have messages that are very encouraging and inspiring to our community. And one of my favorites is a previous entry with the Strings Project that shows the connection of people across the world from different backgrounds and what people can do when they're pulling together versus pulling against each other. And 2020 has really highlighted the tension that occurs when we really pull against each other. And so that string project and the artist showing people holding the rope and what we have in common is really encouraging and unifying in times like these.
And that's one of those projects that's in several parts of town too. The first one that comes to mind is it's on Van Andel on the side there, but you see it in a few other parts too.
I think it's like 40 different places, pieces of it, and I see it every day coming into the city parking garage because it's right out across the street on the DeVos place as well. So it's encouraging. Matter of fact, when we had Michigan Municipal League here in town last week, elected and appointed officials from all over the state, it was one of the things that I highlighted in my message to them.
So how does, I want to talk some technicalities of things. How does a city make something like this come together? This is a huge event that people look forward to all the time. How does something like this come together?
Well, there's several components of the city making something like this happen. First, you have the regulatory process, right? Permitting with our special events office to make sure that the right permits are pulled for the various venues, and that public safety is, of course, very important, both the health of the pandemic as well as ensuring that pedestrians have very safe spaces to view the art. And so you have all of those kind of regulatory functions. But beyond permitting, you have the partnership with ArtPrize, the leadership of ArtPrize, the board. You have the partnership of some of the other community organizers and the community artists and collaborators, the partnership of businesses. And so this is something that ArtPrize can't do by itself, the city can't do by itself, and I think from the inception it's been a great collaboration, particularly now during the pandemic. I think we really felt the loss of it last year in 2020, and not only for ArtPrize but festivals throughout the country, large festivals throughout the country. And so now knowing how important this partnership is, where we have over 500,000 people that come and visit our community over these 18 days or so is very, very encouraging. And we want to do it from a tourism perspective. You have places like Experience Grand Rapids, who's helping to promote the event not only in our community or within the state, but across the nation and across the world, and helping us to attract people and artists from across the globe. So partnership is a very big part of it.
Seeing people out and about again and seeing the city really come to life. This is the first time we've kind of seen that in what seems a very long time, where you could just drive down the road, especially when it first began, and on the weekends, people with their kids, things like that. How does that feel to just see life?
It felt good, and it's normally I complain about traffic and congestion, and I think the first weekend I caught the red light at Monroe and Pearl 8 times. And I would normally complain about that, but this was a time where, these are good problems to have, especially for our restaurant and retailers who had to operate under severe restrictions during the pandemic. And what I love about the footprint of ArtPrize this year is that it's not just limited to the downtown area. You have activation throughout the city. You have it in each of our wards. I had a chance this past weekend to go to the Center for Transformation in the 3rd Ward off of Madison, and they had a wonderful exhibit in their gallery, but it also provided people with some education about some of the things that are being done in that part of the community, as well as what's being done in the various organizations that are in that building. So it feels good, and it's, as I think about it, I was talking to the director, Craig Sear, today. I was giving him a hard time. It's like when a team wins the Super Bowl, instead of just enjoying that the one that just recently won, you start talking about the next one.
Yeah.
And I got to watch myself in making sure that we still live in the moment. But I'm looking forward to not only experiencing the rest of ArtPrize this year, but the continuation of it next year.
Absolutely. And so a first for you this year is your piece. I want to talk about that. When we found out that you had submitted a painting, I have to say we were surprised. At first, we just didn't even think that was an option. But that's on display, and you can see that, folks, right in the middle of your screen there. We have some video of it. That's on display at Rockford Construction here in Grand Rapids, and it's called The Equity Lens.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Tell me how it came together.
Well, it's not my first time painting. I've been dabbling in painting. Of course, I'm no professional artist like many of the people who give their life and career, and they study very professionally to prepare for it, and they're very talented. But I have found art as a way of stress relief and escaping into a place where I can be as imaginative and creative as I like. And I started that about 4 or 5 years ago. Right before coming here. But I was invited to be part of this wonderful program that's called Leaders on Canvas. And Cynthia Hagedorn is the artist that curates various volunteers or community leaders throughout the city. And what we do is we go into her studio, and she, of course, gives us insight, gives us some technique, but she allows us to paint and create from what inspires us or what speaks to us. And so she had several community leaders this year. I was one of many, and the proceeds are donated, or a portion of the proceeds donated to nonprofit. Believe me, none come to the artists once they're auctioned off. But yeah, the equity lens is what I've reflected on as looking back at 2020 in the absence of ArtPrize last year, and there was a lot of discussion in our community, in our country, in the world about equity. And my painting began with an eye with the Pan-African flag, the colors of the red, the black, and the green. And normally when you look at someone's eye and you see red, you see it as problematic because it normally is viewed as an infection or pink eye. But here it's just the opposite, that there's nothing wrong with having diversity of color, diversity of experience in mind as African American, and understanding the view of others that are different from us, and making sure that we're inclusive of those views. And the colors, the red is for the blood of the people that was that had been shed in Africa. The green is for the land, and the black is for the color those who originate from there. And you see in the painting the pointillism of the tears, and they're tears of blood, and sometimes it's very painful for us to have these conversations around equity, painful for those who are people of color, and painful of those who have been people who have been in places of power and privilege, making sure that we have more inclusive experiences and equitable outcomes for our community. And so hence the equity lens.
Is this something that we'll see more of in future ArtPrizes? With what was it? The leadership on canvas.
Leadership on, yeah, that has been occurring. That predates me, and so I was this class, and I can't recall how long that's been occurring, but there have been several other ArtPrizes that have had the leadership on canvas experience, and so I hope that will continue in 2022. But beyond that, I'll have to find a way to offer expressions. I know that City Hall is also a gallery, one of the public art spaces there right in front of the one of the most iconic art pieces that we have in the city at the Calder. And on the first floor of City Hall we have several pieces, and those too have local artists, and a lot of the paintings and murals there at City Hall are reflections of social issues.
Anything else that you'd like to add in terms of overall excitement of ArtPrize, or your piece, your painting, anything like that?
Well, I think the way the ArtPrize was done this year is different in the fact that, in previous years it's been one, a big grand prize, huge grand prizes, and there are multiple prizes that have been offered this year, and I think I believe over 100 or so artists have been given prizes so far, and I feel for a lot of the artists because there's a tremendous amount of time that goes into both preparing, and in many cases, if you're coming from across the state or across the country, you have travel expense, and to be here to demonstrate your piece. And so I think the way that it was designed this year, it gave more opportunities for artists to be recognized for their work rather than just having one big grand prize. And so I commend our executive director of ArtPrize, Greg Sear, for trying something different, and we'll see how it goes. And I'm looking forward to seeing who is the grand prize winner on tomorrow during the watch party.
I know a lot of people have been satisfied this year with what you just said, just being able to distribute multiple prizes, prize money, things along those lines. And the QR codes are kind of the way of the future, it seems like. We see them at restaurants everywhere, so it's cool to see them implemented.
Yep. And this year, the other thing I think, you talk about the city's role, mobility is very important, because the more you spread the art across the downtown area and the city at large, the more important it is for people to have ways of getting around it that's safe and that's a good experience. And so now we have, in addition to the bus transportation, we also have the scooters, the micromobility, and the e-bikes as well.
Yes. Yep.
I tried those e-bikes a couple times. Oh man, it is a breath saver.
Do they move?
They go pretty fast, up to 20 miles an hour.
Wow.
And I tried it up a hill, and we do tours with our staff, seeing some of the projects and parks and other infrastructure bike tours. And one day I rode a bike, and it was a manual pedal bike, and I rode it up the hill, and I switched with one of my co-workers and rode the e-bike. It was like 1/8 of the effort.
That's awesome.
The pedals, so I would recommend those to anyone.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Grand Rapids City Manager Mark Washington joining us here at the WOOD TV Live Desk. Hey, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. we have our awards special only on WOODTV.com. We'll also be streaming that on WOODTV.com and have it on WOOD TV8 as well. This has been a look at the WOOD TV Live Desk. My name is Luke Laster. Thank you for joining us. Head over to WOODTV.com for all things ArtPrize. Have a great afternoon, folks.